So much for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you.
It's so great to be sitting next to both of you because we've been living with you both through a screen for the last few weeks seeing this show. And you both are so incredible at it. Oh, yeah. So to be sitting here with you today, we're so grateful. We're so thankful for your time and for getting Milli Vanilli stuck in our head for the rest of the year.
That's true.
Yeah,
I've had to deal with it for the last year, so I'm just glad, that people have to share in that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that and Ice Ice Baby definitely are now in our heads.
Yeah, it's part of us now. We just love to know, what was that first conversation like with Ryan about what the show is going to be? What questions did you have for him about the direction for your characters and the direction that he wanted to take the story?
I remember after reading the first 5 scripts, I called him and I was like, I have to cry a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, we're gonna have to find a lot of different ways to cry. No, he was super excited and just, heard us out and we got to talk about everything and have really, really good conversations. He was so encouraging just had such a strong belief in me and that felt really, really good.
Nicholas, how about for you?
Ryan sort of just sets you on a path, right, with the scripts that he's writing and then the world that he's building, and then you do the research on your end, and then you just sort of let all the other creatives involved kind of guide you through that process. And he's really meticulous with the people who he chooses to work with, both in front of and behind the camera. So it's kind of like going into free fall a bit, you just get dropped into this world and then you see what happens.
Obviously, playing brothers means that journey of getting to know each other must have been really interesting. And how did you guys kind of build that trust with each other when you're getting this show together?
I think it happened really organically. We were spending a lot of time together. We're almost in every scene together, and it's long hours when you're making television. It's like 14-hour days, and we're also doing some pretty intense stuff together, which I think naturally just, I don't know, maybe it's like trauma bonding.
I had to share a double banger trailer with Cooper too, so they're very close.
That'll do it, right? Yeah.
So I think it happened really naturally and organically, and I think even just from the first day when we did our screen test, we had an instant electric chemistry. So
It shows. It definitely shows.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
When you're preparing for a role like this, I know you got to speak with Lyle and Erik, or you spoke with Erik on the phone. Before the premiere.
I spoke with both of them, yeah.
And then after the show premiered, you got to actually go visit with Kim in the prison.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you after living with this character, now meeting this person, right?
So rewarding and life-changing. I knew I'd wanted to meet them for a very long time, and we got to go down for a really amazing event type thing. They were going to present to us this green space project that the two of them have been spearheading for a long time now, and so that was really inspiring, and it was just amazing to just give him a hug and look him in the eyes and tell him I believed him, and I did everything I could to portray him as authentically as possible. So super rewarding and inspiring.
Yeah. Did it ever kind of recontextualize the journey that you went on playing this person in a show, and now did you come away feeling differently after meeting?
No, in fact, it's sort of continued to support my beliefs that I had felt about them the whole time. And I went into the show with one perspective and one point of view, which was Erik's truth, everything that he talks about on the stand, and all the way leading up to meeting him, that perspective stayed the same. And then when I did ultimately get to meet him, he's so incredible. He teaches speech classes and he teaches meditation, and they're super involved in prison reform. And even the warden told us that he would feel comfortable with having them as his neighbors, and that he would let them watch his kids, which I thought was
amazing.
Really, really eye-opening, and I hope a lot of people can take something away from that.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely. What we loved also so much about this show is that it shows all these different sides, the what could have been, and you're kind of making the audience the jury in this. What does research kind of look like when you're preparing for something like this? Did you find anything about the justice system that maybe surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the second trial completely changed. I mean, all of the rulings were changed. In the first trial, they had 2 juries. Second trial, they had 1. No cameras in the second trial, cameres in the first trial.
They didn't allow any of the evidence of
yeah.
sexual abuse to be admissible into the second trial.
Exactly.
So from our perspective, I mean, the judge crucified them by putting those restrictions on.
Yeah, and he wouldn't let the defense use imperfect self-defense, which was their entire story and their truth. So I think that was pretty messed up by the justice system, and I didn't know that, you know, the justice system had the power to do something like that.
Right.
It seems like it's like kind of unholy. So it's a really sad story, and yeah, that was pretty devastating.
Yeah, and when you look at the relationship with their parents throughout this entire series, you have some incredible screen mates with you too, with Javier and Chloe.
Yeah.
What was it like working with them? Because there's such obviously intense moments between you all as a family, but there's also some moments of levity throughout, which it's interesting seeing more of the comical side come out, whether it's positive or negative towards the brothers. But I was just curious, what was it like working with them as a family in this?
You really have to be able to turn on a dime. I mean, they're such lovely people off camera, and they made us feel so loved, so supported. And then once you get into the scene, you have to be present. I mean, you're just not going to survive in a scene with Javier Bardem and Chloe Sevigny unless you're being present and you're open to all of the different ideas that they have for the scene and everything that they might throw at you. I mean, with every scene that we did, I think that every take was truly different. They found a different shade, a different color, and so staying reactive in that moment was pretty key.
Yeah. Is there like a piece of advice that they kind of gave you that really stuck with you throughout that production?
I remember Javier kind of saying on our first day with him, there was a really intense scene that Nicholas and I became very emotional afterwards or while we were shooting it. And, you know, he reminded us that it's a marathon and it's not a sprint. And so I kind of took that to heart and also sort of was like, you know, I do also want to give every scene, every moment, everything that I have. And I hope that came across, and yeah, I think at the end that's why I was so exhausted.
Yeah, I believe in it. I think especially when you see, you know, it's interesting now speaking to both of you, having the show out in the world as well too. So you've seen how it's been received, and I just think of like those final shots of you splitting apart. Like, how did you both leave after completing shooting on this? Like, where were you both? Like, I just like, okay, we're done with this now. We're leaving this behind. Like, it was very much like the imagery of that. I was feeling that as well too.
Totally. I think the last day was, I got really sick. I got caught a cold. I think just from the past 6 months, and I was so exhausted that last day was kind of. I just remember sort of being like, I was sort of like incoherent in a way, which I think worked for the moment because they were pulled out of their cells at 3 a.m. and put into a car in a van that you don't know where they're going. So it sort of felt right for the moment, and I just went with that. It was really the day before that it was our last day on the stages, and those stages, Sunset Gower, really became like my home for 6 months. And so I remember like when we were done, I cleaned out my trailer and I walked around the stages and just, you know, sobbed and said my goodbyes, and that was really like my goodbye. So yeah.
Well, for you. Oh my gosh, sorry, Nicholas. I'm calling you Lyle. Nicholas,
That in that character.
for you, like leaving that character behind.
Yeah, look, Lyle is a really, really interesting character with a lot of different layers, and it was a privilege to be able to explore him for 6 months. And you do become deeply attached to these characters that you play because you want to try to understand them from as empathetic a place as you possibly can. And so to have to finally say goodbye, there was a difficult aspect of that. Yeah.
The episode The Hurt Man was it's something that we've just never seen before, and I don't know if time was flying by while watching it or we were stuck in it.